that money like 1-0-0-0-0-0-0-0-0. I'm here with Gino.
Hey, Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game. I'm a player. Feeling like Pac. Represent. On my block. Try to knock me down, but I come up on top. Yeah, they wanna see me flop. Got a plot, want a lot. I won't stop on my pops. Got so many flows, it's insane. They don't really understand the game. Got a plan and it's plain, I ain't playing. I'm just trying to gain. I wanna get that big bag, need that big racks. Blow up Tic Tac with a blue cheese at. I don't give a fuck about your feedback. Eat that, get back, sit back, watch me spit that kickback. Got so many flows, yeah, they think that I'm insane. Ghetto kids in a lot of pain, all about the bills, ain't shit changed. Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game, I'm a player. If you a hater, I don't hate you. I'm just really happy that I ain't you. I just wanna thank you. You kept me motivated, so now I motivate you. There's a lot of cake, money on my mind like a banker. Coming through with them bangers, ain't no room for mistakes. Lot of stake, hustle till we get a lot of rooms, lot of stakes. Good kid, but I keep it gangsta. All gas, no brakes. Got cash for the case. More cash in the case. More cash in the safe. More cash on the way. Hustling all day. Ay. Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game. I'm a player.
Danger, coming with them bangers. Where my fucking paper.
Said I'm taking big shots, just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. They been trying to get me cheap like a thrift shop, but I told them it's my time, check the wristwatch. They been talking way before they even doing something. Whoa. If they wanna play, let's get a tip off. Ain't no silver lining, dawg, this some rose gold. Getting new money, I'm a old soul. Yeah, I get it bouncing like a pogo. Whoa. And I'm too cold like Frozone. And my chick elastic, girl. Told them we ain't in the faking, this ain't plastic, girl. Bought a new whip and cash, now my taxi thorough. Way I'm shooting like step, but my pass is bro. The way I'm playing the field, I'm in a league of my own. And now they all in they fields, I got them all on my phone. But dog, I'm hitting the climb, I got no time on the low. Way I'm shooting is messy, the way I'm hitting the goals. I'm taking big shots, just stop. Way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. I just left, but you know I'm coming back though. Whoa. And you know I don't play by my rags though. Now go and turn it up to the max, whoa. Send a paper to me now like a fax, whoa. Yeah. Got 2 phones ringing off the hook now. When I'm in the city, I get looks now. I was going bad, but I'm good now. Said I had to go and put my foot down. Told them I'ma get it and go. Even in the summer, man, they knowing I'm cold. I got a couple checks coming that I made off the flows. Might get a couple more popping if I do it some more. I gotta do it for real. Said I'm back in my bag. All my digits are climbing just like they all on a dash. And they tell me slow down cause dog I'm moving too fast. Might go and caught me a Tesla cause dog I still got a gas. Said I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This high, I ain't playing like a 6 fight. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On the road, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream. Bitcoin attempting to get another test here at our final level of resistance, holding us back from a potential bigger breakout towards $78,000 to $81,000, and eventually, maybe, just maybe, $86,000 to $90,000. We talked about the all-time highs on the SPY yesterday. We talked about the money flow, and we talked about that first key level of support at $74,000, which got retested today and held. Are we still looking for that bigger breakout? Thank you for the the mute notifications, guys. Caught that one quick. Man, there's been some times where I've gone on for a while on mute. But thank you for that, guys. But yeah, we're going to cover all the key levels. I'll go over my overall plans here. Holding $74,000, are we going to get this breakout, or are we going to get the bigger correction before we push to the upside? We talked about the 12-hour bearish divergence, which is printing right now on the charts, but I'm going to go over with you guys exactly what I'm looking at, the exact key levels, and yeah, overall, just to start off the stream here, guys, overall, still leaning more bullish here for the continuation of the upside. We just got to kind of work out if we're going to get that correction, and if we do, how low can we go? So shout out to the Mafia. Welcome in. We got Flippa Frank in the chat. What is going on, brother? We got Rick G in the chat, said, Orty Shout out to Orty. We got Austin in the chat. Welcome in, brother. We got Vitrol Passerby. We got Tony D in the chat. I think I saw Jesse and Darren Does Things in there as well. Welcome in. Thank you guys for holding down the chat for us. We got Erica, one of our elite female Candle Mafia members. Man, she's a trooper, putting up with the our like 93% male audience. Shout out to Erica. I forgot who it was. Someone said they were a couple of people crushing it on Rave. Congratulations on your gains. We got BTC Harpist in the chat. Welcome in. Rudy, what is going on? We got Perry said, got the FPC. Why did I say FPC? Got the SFP. I'm schlong. Shout out to Perry. Hey, we love when you're schlong. Just don't show one of those, please. But anyway. Thank you, Frankie. Making mortgage payments thanks to you. Shout out to Lord Black Video. Hey, let's go, maybe. We're changing lives here on the Frankie Candles live stream for free here on www.youtube.com. But without further ado, guys, we got a lot here to look at on the charts, and I do have a timer set here, guys, for an hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to try to keep the energy up, but I really do feel like trash. My head is throbbing. I don't think I'm sick. I don't know. I don't know if I didn't sleep well last night, so I'm going to try to keep it quick here, and also Bitcoin is locally ranging, so I'll give you guys like a quick repeat, not a quick repeat, but like a quick update on what we looked at yesterday and if I'm still expecting the same thing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. So let's get into it. Shout out to Zach. Said we got the money makers in the chat as well. Don't give too much free sauce. Shout out to Zach. Let's get it, baby. Let's get it. Well, I can't guarantee we're not going to give away too much free sauce. I feel like we probably do that every single day. But shout out to Zach. Welcome in, brother. Hope you're still crushing it on the trades. But here we are, guys. And I'm just going to start here with a simple chart. And I'm going to go over the longer time frames with you. And then we'll dive into kind of the more complex local price action. Obviously, we are forming a little bit of a range here locally. This is kind of how I'm going to be viewing the overall kind of local price action. And then we'll talk about potential bigger corrections and the possibility of maybe just a breakout here. So overall, oh, my God. Excuse me. I thought this was the 12 hours. Like, oh, my God, the bear div got invalidated. But as we look here, guys, obviously, you know, everyone knows Bitcoin's been just ranging sideways for over 2 months. Are we finally going for that big breakout to get above our major trend line, which I will talk about with you guys, to head up towards, you know, first off, between $81,000 and $78,000 on these two daily MPOCs. And then after that, is there going to be enough gusto here to get that bigger move up towards our, you know, I'll just pull it up to this daily MPOC, right? This $86,000 to $90,000 zone. These are obviously the two major targets I will be looking at to the upside. Of course, as these daily MPOCs do sit within the low volume gap, I won't be looking at these as major as I will be looking at the targets up here because we have the two daily MPOCs, but as we all know, when you look at that visible range volume profile, we do have this pretty big gap, and you guys can see really this entire gap. We talked about this many of times, right? The entire gap pretty much sits where we are right now, all the way up to $86,000 to about $90,000, and then you can see here on these two daily MPOCs, we do have a little bit of a peak in volume, right? This is a trading channel, so if we can catch some little scalp shorts here, even if we do just have to ride it down to maybe retest the trend line or retest the resistance before breaking back up. You know, this is money on the charts. So I will, you know, obviously not going to be ignoring those levels, but just to kind of put it into perspective from a higher time frame outlook here. You know, this is a smaller high volume node, right? I wouldn't even consider this a high volume node. It's just a little bit of a peak in volume. So, you know, we could see a little bit of chop there. When we talk about those next targets, technically, right, if we are going to get a big breakout, right, this could be kind of the first place to chop around at before eventually seeing that bigger move up. But absolutely, guys, the bigger target here is going to be $86,000 to $90,000. We have the previous, let me just mark this out for you real quick. I'm just going to take this off the chart temporarily. But if we do pull up all those MPOCs, right, we have many levels up here. We have the previous value area low. I'm just going to mark it out here as this kind of previous consolidation, but I think everybody knows I don't want to be like super repetitive here, but if you drag this over like the macro range up here, the $86,000 value area low is exactly the same, sitting at about $86,400. But I'm just going to look at it like this so we can kind of zoom in a little bit more. So you have the previous value area low, you have the weekly and the daily MPOC, a couple more daily MPOCs up there, and of course, right, this is just generally confluent, right? If all these key levels kind of confuse you, it's just generally confluent with this high volume node. Price likes to stick to the high volume nodes, and then it does not like to stick into those low volume gaps, right? Once you break into that gap, oftentimes you do see fast moves down, or in this case, potentially fast moves up. And you guys can see we are attempting to hang out in here. So if we do get that breakout, Of course, we have the major trend line here currently, right? Depending on when we come up to this is sitting at around $77,000. But of course, I will be looking at this as kind of the first major target, right? Understanding it's a little bit smaller than this major target. Once we get up there, right, we could expect somewhat of a fast move up, as obviously you see the fast move down through this level. As I always say, right, we use this low volume gap to identify that we would likely see a capitulation down here once we lost these lows. That ended up being extremely accurate, and it's the same thing on the way up. And the reason I bring up the past when we travel through it quickly is because I know it can sometimes seem like, are you really going to get that fast move up? And, I can't guarantee it, but, when we looked at it here, it was the same thing. Like, we were going to lose these lows, and then all of a sudden we're going to get a capitulation. This is because of the bear market. This is because of some narrative. Not really, right? Well, maybe it is, maybe some of those things do tie into it. But we identified this 100% based off the low volume gap. So just to kind of show you the reliability of these things, it's like lose the lows, fast capitulation down. If we get accepted in here and snap above these last levels of resistance, it could eventually, even all the way back down here, we were talking about, once we break into this gap officially, this is kind of where you could start to see those God candles on Bitcoin. Now, I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking, oh my God, is the bottom in? And I'm not necessarily saying that, guys. This is somewhat exciting if we can get that big move up. Obviously, this could just be some kind of macro retracement within the bear market. We'll continue to kind of go over this as the price action develops. But when we pull up our major Fibonacci retracements, you guys can see from the major swing high to the swing low. We do have the golden pocket up in there starting at the resistance, right? And then we have the 786 up here closer to 90K. Could this end up just being, let me just hide this stuff to keep it nice and simple for you, right? Could this just be some kind of, bigger breakout, right? And then we put in a lower high and another lower low. Definitely possible. We'll go over the bearish case here as well in case we don't get accepted into this gap. But as of right now, guys, with money flow coming up on the many different time frames, right? We got the 8-hour money flow cruising to the upside, indicating this trend will very likely continue to the upside. 10-hour money flow still cooking into the green. 12-hour money flow starting to come out here a little bit. But again, this is kind of 16 and 12-hour money flow is coming out. It's not confluent with everything, right? And when we come up to the daily, this is really the main thing. Daily money flow in the green here this is really the big thing that makes me lean on a bullish bias, right, for higher lows and higher highs. We talked about in the market update how low we could potentially go before, kind of flipping a little bit more bearish. But when we pull up our trend line here, where is it? I believe it's in this folder. Bada boom, right? So we have this trend line with our golden pocket 786. So just, if we do see some kind of, as we talked about yesterday, potential 12-hour bearish divergence forming here. This is printing at this point. We looked at it yesterday. It wasn't there yet. We thought it might form. So I know this local push-up is nice, but, I'm not, it's not lost on me that if this 12-hour bearish divergence ends up confirming, right, we could get a little bit of a bigger pullback. We have lots of local support I will be watching. This is not necessarily my base case, but just to kind of give you a line in the sand here, if we do see some kind of major pullback, we could potentially go as low, in my opinion, to around $67,208, right? This could potentially be that larger pullback. This would allow us to continue to put in higher lows. And if the daily money flow is still in the green at this point, potentially could still hold that trend line. And, just to kind of put it into perspective, right? Like when I have a bullish bias here, it is mainly based off this daily money flow. Also, on top of the fact that we had been looking for those all-time highs on the SPY or the S&P 500. Of course, once we break above here, the next stop is going to be that POC, in which case was basically all-time highs. So very likely we go take out that high. Here is the SPY in all-time highs. Talked about this yesterday as well. So this also, right, stock market doing very well. This is also, could be kind of leading to Bitcoin. It's kind of a mixed bag, right? Because that could also mean that Bitcoin's going to follow suit. But on the other hand, right, if this does end up, I'll say this, right, we're above the value area. We're above the all-time high. So, we could eventually just see like minor pullbacks for a continuation of the trend. Obviously, if the stock market winds up getting accepted back into the volume profile and we get a massive correction, that could be bearish for Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, stock market pumping, this is obviously more often than not good for Bitcoin. So that's kind of where my bullish bias comes in, right? Really, from the chart perspective, it is this daily money flow. So as long as that money flow stays in the green on the daily, I will be looking for lackluster pullbacks. Money flow indicates the overall trend. It does not call for the pullbacks. So I will be looking for lackluster pullbacks. The deepest I would like this to go is this trend line, essentially, or the 786 technically at $67,343. Once we start breaking below that, guys, this is kind of where I start to flip a little bit more bearish, right? But we got a lot of room to come down, and we also have local support underneath us, right? So bullish leaning bias on the long term, but when we see this daily red dot potentially looking to print, we do have to understand that the market does move in waves, and we can see corrections, but we have a lot of room to come down here while also being able to still remain on that longer-term bullish bias. So let me go ahead and take these lines off the chart. So just from a long-term perspective, you got the low volume gap above. Of course, we are testing that last level of resistance here. And I will bring up the this trend line, right? Because we've been looking at this trend line for quite some time. Not that I'm a trend line trader, but this is pretty important in my opinion, right? Because when you want to look at it from a very simple perspective, it's like, well, hey, if we get above the high once again, right, like you are going to have that trend line. If we wind up getting rejected from that trend line, maybe it continues to be resistance. But this is going to be a big level. Once we break that trend line, maybe we go up to that, $81,000 to $78,000 level. If we end up holding that with our money flow coming up, right, this would be very, very good in my opinion. Break out of the trend line, potentially retest it, and then, at that point, we could be looking at a major trend change here for that bigger target at $86,000 to $91,000, right? And again, this sits at about $77,000 currently. Obviously, if we get a bigger pullback, right, let's say we go down to that trend line, we come back up, right, it is going to be a little bit lower. But that's going to come in when we take a look at the local levels here because that is kind of close above us. But just overall, this is pulled from the all-time high and then latched onto the bodies here on the daily at 97K. So if you want to get that same trend line on your chart, it is a very, very, very important level. You can take all the TI off the chart here, and if you just want to look at it from a very simple perspective, it's like, well, hey, if we can break out of this trend line, that could be the trend change, right? Money flow coming up, also on your side. So yeah, I'm still leaning bullishly biased here, guys, even on some corrections to the downside, which begs the question, how low can we go? Well, we already talked about that, actually. But what are some of these local levels that we're looking at? Other than this little pop to the upside that we saw locally, from yesterday, there's really no change on my long-term bias. But for anybody who might be new here or hasn't watched the live streams of the market updates and they're just kind of coming back to the market, seeing that Bitcoin's pumping, that's kind of my overall view, right? We saw this money flow coming up all the way down here at 66K. I am still holding my long here from $66,000. I will continue to hold this, got profits locked in. And yeah, this is the thought process here. And with this trade open, right, I am not super interested in, or I don't even say like interested, but like I'm not forced to really find the local long positions. I did take one long here, wound up getting stopped out in profit. I took a little scalp down here at 74K. So let me jump in here to the local price action and kind of show you guys the local levels that we're looking at. Now, obviously, we do have the weekly and the daily MPOC around $74,000. This is a major support resistance flip. In my opinion, this was the first major key level that we had underneath us. The levels we looked at yesterday and the day before, obviously, $74,000, major level to hold. If we can hold on top of this, right, maybe we can get the more aggressive break to the upside. Once we lose $74,000, the next major key level I will be looking at, I'm going to hide this MPOC for a second. The next major level, because I know not everybody's holding along from 66K. There's a couple reasons, right? Number one, I'm holding the long from 66K. If we get the bounce from here, I'm covered on the long. But on top of that, right, like in my opinion, when you look at this on a daily time frame, this is just not where I am interested in chasing longs, right? Like if I'm not long from any of these major pullbacks, I'm not necessarily interested in looking for longs on the massive push to the upside, right? Like in my opinion, this is a little too late to find the long. It doesn't mean you can't take longs, but I would have to kind of view those as local trades. And I'll show you those local key levels. But in my opinion, for like a big long position, right, it's a little late to be looking up here at the top of these, green candles on the daily, right? So for me to look to add to my long or look for another big long position, I would need some kind of a pullback. So if we come on down here to the lower time frames, if we do end up seeing that 12-hour bearish divergence that we talked about before, right? Higher highs on our price action, lower highs on our momentum waves. Red dot is now printing, so this is actually printing on the chart. It's not incoming anymore. Once we confirm this 12-hour candle in the next 3 hours and 30 minutes, this will be confirmed. This is kind of the one bearish sign on the chart that could be indicating a pullback. So if we do get that, 74K still remains support. We're sitting above it. It is going to stay as support, and I'll even bring this up as well. I'll bring this up in a second, but we do have a local volume profile forming here. And this is kind of how I would look at the longs down here, right? Long from the low, get into the POC, push up to the high, potential rejection, back down to the low. It's basically just trading as a general range, right? And then if you wanted to I'm not telling you what to do, not financial advice, but let's just say you catch a long from down here, right? Simple volume profile trade. You can look to take profit at the value area high, and if it decides to break out, your stop loss can be at break even. That way, if we do end up losing 74K, you get stopped out in profit, and on the other flip side of that coin, right, if it does decide to continue up, you're at least holding a long position. But just from a major like a higher time frame perspective, like in my opinion, this is just for me a little bit too late to be chasing along. I'm very happy that I'm holding my long down from $66,000. But as a day trader or a scalper, right, you can look at this as a local range and just trade those levels. Now, if we do end up coming back down here, let's say that 12-hour bearish divergence confirms, and we end up losing 74K, guys, this is going to be a major level, right? Once we lose this level, I am going to expect some kind of a much bigger correction to the downside, right? And by much bigger, I do mean down to we have this other local volume profile underneath us, right? You have your value area high sitting here. I'll give you these key levels so you can get them on your chart. 72,544 at the value area high. PLC sitting just underneath that at 72,181. That is the level, but you got to kind of look at this as kind of a zone. And then once you lose that POC, right, I'm going to be looking for, and I do prefer the bigger move down here towards between about $71,000 and $70,000. Now, why do I like this level a little bit better? Well, it's for a couple of different reasons here, guys. If we look at the liquidation heat map, we do have liquidity sitting down there at about just under those lows at 70,500, right? This is that volume profile that I just looked at. You do have liquidity sitting below. We've already taken the local liquidity that we looked at on the live stream 2 days ago and the market update yesterday. And of course, you come down, you sweep that liquidity, you get the bounce. But if we do end up losing 74K, the next significant area of liquidity sits below those lows right down here, 70,500. I have it marked off on the chart here. So if we do lose 74K, of course, you do have local support here at the POC value area high. But at that point, I really would prefer, right, fast move down could indicate fast move up could indicate the fast move down. And then your real major level, in my opinion, does sit down here. Again, 70,000 to 71K. Liquidity sitting below these lows. So you have your upper range up here. Actually, I have this marked out as well. All right, so you have your upper volume profile, right, for day trade scalps. And then if we do lose 74K, get out of this value area, price is going to seek out fair value, which, of course, does sit down towards this previous volume profile. Get accepted in here. I will be looking for the move down here, and this is really the major level. I'm not saying I won't take any longs, right? If we come back down to the value area low, we see some confirmations. Maybe I'll take another scalp long. But for like the major levels, I would consider this a little bit more important. And another reason, other than the liquidity down here, is the fact that this is also confluent with our previous macro range value area high, right? When we look at these overall macro volume profiles, you really don't want to get accepted back into this range. And I've talked about this many a times. Of course, we do have the key levels down here, which could hold up the trend line that we looked at earlier in the stream, right? The macro trend line for a higher low and a higher high. It does get a little bit more difficult down here because you are accepted into your profile. And at that point, it is just a little bit, you could get the bounce here, but, the volume profile theory does state that it is high probability to fill that range in full, in which case, as I mentioned, I would probably be flipping a little bit more bearish at this point. I don't really want to get accepted below this value area high. It does not technically invalidate the higher time frame trend to the upside, but it just becomes a lot more difficult to feel super confident about the move up, because if we get continuously accepted into this profile, we can't get out of that high. That full rotation, it's a little bit of a wrench in the machine. I don't know, wrench in the gears. Because typically when you lose a value area high, PLC is next. Once you lose the PLC, value area low is next. The overall fill of the volume profile is very high probability. At that point, this would start to look like a deviation above the high for a full rotation back down. So again, it doesn't invalidate if we could hold the POC, the major trend line, but it does just make it a little bit more difficult. So in the best case scenario, right, we just don't lose 74K. But again, 12-hour bear div could indeed do that. So if we do come down, just giving you guys an idea of why I like this level a lot better, because if we come down here and sweep out that liquidity, it keeps us out of this kind of difficult situation down here. So I will 100% be interested in bounces there. And again, I know it gets a little confusing looking at it from this perspective. So locally, right, I'd just be watching this range, right? Typical volume profile trading. Lows, highs, right? Would I look for a long here? No. Does it mean that you can't hold support and continue up? Obviously you can, but this is just not where I look to long. I do not look to long after the move to the upside. If I'm going to take a long, it's got to be on a pullback at a key level, which it was here and it was here. And then, of course, if that range fails, I will take that off the chart and I will just look underneath us because obviously the 74K level, on top of the fact that this is just a key support resistance flip, once you get accepted into this range, it does indicate that you could get the full fill of that volume profile down to this major key level, in which case that is really the big level I would like to hold to just continue this massive move to the upside. Once we get down there, we'll look at the price action as it's developing and kind of identify if there's going to be a trade to be had there. If not, well, then we're just in a situation where we have no choice but to look down to that kind of super, super difficult scenario. Now, another thing that makes this level interesting is that the anchored VWAP pulled from the absolute low here is also going to very likely be confluent with this level, which I actually like, right? Because if we want to continue the uptrend, this anchored VWAP would be a very, this is going to kind of continue up, become confluent with that value area low. Right, and then that would give us a really nice confluence. You got the golden pocket retracement, which is an area to look for a higher low and a higher high in an uptrend, which we are in on the daily money flow crossover into the green. Golden pocket is going to be a big place to look. It's also in line with your value area low. It's also in line with the macro value area high, another key level you want to hold. And we have that anchored VWAP coming up, right? So like this would look super, super nice, even if you have to sweep that liquidity. So just to kind of show you guys exactly why I like this level so much. And then, of course, the importance of losing it, indicating, you're going to have to come down and deal with this gigantic zone of support, which, again, is going to be a difficult scenario. But I'll walk you guys through it as the price action develops. But right now, let's come on into the local range here. Currently, we do have a potential. Oh, wow. This green dot just printed and confirmed right away. Man. That's kind of annoying. This was about to print, and then it must have just printed right as the next candle confirmed, so it just got instantly confirmed. Let's take a look at the 15-minute. Yeah, 15-minute money flow kind of flat there. Just kind of bing-bonging around. 30-minute money flow in the green. Let's check the 5-hour. 5-hour green dot printing. 6-hour green dot printing. Yeah, I'll be honest, guys. Like, look at Market Cipher right now. Market Cipher just kind of choppy, to be honest, right? Red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot. Better than green dot, red dot. But, I would say the only clear indication here on Market Cipher is this 12-hour bearish divergence, right? So me personally, if you want to know how I'm positioned, I'm holding along from 66K. I am also holding a short from the SFP of the high here. We talked about this on the live stream. I did take that trade. I am still holding it. So if that 12-hour bearish divergence does end up confirming, right, I'm already in the short from the SFP of the high. And then again, like my preferred scenario would be, personally, would be to get that bigger correction. So yeah, and you have the 12-hour bearish divergence. The rest of Market Cipher is a little bit choppy. 3-hour green dot printing. Yeah, money flow kind of all over the place here. You got your 1-hour money flow coming out. 45-minute money flow super choppy. I wish this was a little bit more clear. But locally, right, we're in the value area high. Is this where I look for longs? Absolutely not, right? If anything, I would have to look for a short here. Obviously, I'm already holding the short from the high. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend, not financial advice, but for me, right, this would be the local range, and you could simply just trade this range short from the value area high. I'm not telling you to enter a short right now, but if you get the rotation back down, your first key level of support is 74K. Once we lose that, let's get that bigger breakdown towards $70,000 to $71,000. Let me come on into the chat here real quick. Shout out to Skinny Lock, said, isn't 75K resistance? Yes, this is overall. I mean, it is the last level of resistance, but really like 76 to about, like 75K. This is kind of the last level of resistance, right? From a high time frame perspective, local price action is going to chop around, be super confusing, but from a high time frame perspective, right, this is really the level that we want to snap on top of, right? Get above the trend line, see the bigger move to the upside. And of course, right, just like the, I am not in a new short right now. I already have the short from the high. The only next kind of area that I'd be interested in looking for a short, right, does not mean once you hit this level, you short it. You have to know what to look for. But if we did come up, right, of course, I talked about this on the market update yesterday. There is a chance, right, that you can kind of just sweep out the high and then get the pullback. But when it comes to trading, guys, it's a game of trapping, right? For me, I have a trap here, I have a trap here, and then I have the trap at around $70,000 to $71,000. right? So what do I do in a situation where I'm not at one of my traps, right? It's very simple. It's actually arguably the most simple thing to do, and that is nothing, right? If I was not in a short, would I be maybe interested in a short up here? Potentially, right? But for me, unless we come up here and we get the confirmations for the short, I am sitting on my hands, waiting for the bigger pullback. If we get the breakout, I will stop out of my short, and my long will continue to pay out, right? The only way I would be looking for a new long is if we were to come down and get a setup at 74K, or if we lose 74K and head down towards $70,000 to $71,000. Other than that, I'm sitting on my hands, so just trading the local range, and then if we break into the larger range down here, I will just look to trade that. Very simple, right? So high currently sits at $76,000, essentially, 61. Key levels to the downside, 74,000 and 71 to $70,000. Of course, you can get bounces from earlier levels, right? But again, I am interested in the bigger levels. If they don't get hit, again, long will continue to play out, right? So I'm just not interested in here. Doesn't mean you can't bounce there. Doesn't mean if you're looking for a long there that it's invalid, right? We do have the PLC of the range here, so you can argue that that is a key level. Just not something I would be personally interested in. Doesn't mean it won't play out, right? Within my plan, this is the level. And I guess at the end of the day, if we did come down there and I saw a beautiful setup, maybe I would take it, right? But right now, these are the levels that I'm waiting for. The same levels we've been looking at, right? Bitcoin, since our last live stream 2 days ago, has just gone sideways, which is nice because it creates this nice little range. Let's see. Shout out to I never know how to say your name. I'm going to call him Simon. Shout out to Simon. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Says, hi, I use Market Cipher B2, but my 12-hour money flow is in the red. What is the indicator you use? There are a couple of different options. Thanks. Shout out to Simon. So you are not using Market Cipher. You are probably using, there's a couple of other indicators out there that are like very similar. They're almost like clones of Market Cipher. It's not to say that it doesn't work. It's just different. So that is definitely the reason. The only other thing I can think of why your 12-hour money flow is in the red is maybe you're looking at a different exchange. I don't know if that would change it very much. But yeah, the answer there is probably you're not looking at Market Cipher. You're looking at another indicator. Again, is that wrong? Not necessarily, but the money flow is slightly different. There's many indicators that use like a quote-unquote money flow. Some of them react faster. Some of them react slower. So that's probably you're just not using the same exact indicator. That's why it's not showing. So yeah, there you go. Again, not saying it's not good or bad. It's just different. But when I talk about money flow, I am on Market Cipher B. Do I think Bitcoin will go above 80K? That is the overall anticipation, right? Overall, my major kind of anticipation here, guys, is still going to be, again, until we see something flip around on the chart, the money flow fakes out into the red. So one thing you don't want to forget is we are in a bear market, right? I talk about this a lot. I try not to talk about it too much just because at the end of the day, if money flows in the green, my overall anticipation is continuation of the uptrend. When you see money flow, for anyone new here, money flow indicates the overall trend. Right? Money flow indicates this. Red and green dots indicate this and this, right? Green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot. Money flow indicates the overall trend. So sometimes people will get confused, right? They'll be like, well, money flow is green. Why are we going down, right? And typically it's on a very small move down, right? Well, we're going down. What's happening? I thought money flow was in the green. It is, but you're just anticipating a higher low and a higher high, which ended up happening here. So overall anticipation based off the daily, again, is even on corrections, I will be looking for lackluster retracements, higher lows, and higher highs. Again, that kind of last level being that golden pocket 786, ending at $67,270. Once we break that, I do think it is just looking more like a fake out, and then that's where we can look for the bigger drop down below 60K, and then we'll talk about that if we get down there, right? If we get the bounce here, maybe we can start talking about another break of that trend line, right? This trend line will still be here. Talking about the upper trend line here. If we did wind up coming down, bearish case plays out. Of course, you guys know that is not my base case that I'm looking for $30,000 right away. I will still be looking at $58,000 to $55,000 as major support. So if we do end up getting, this is longer term, if we did end up getting that bigger breakdown and we get the bounce there, if this comes off the back of high time frame bullish divergences, which may be able to form here on the weekly, right? If that comes in, I will be looking for a bounce. And then on the way back up, right, that trend line is still going to be here, and it is still going to be important. All right, let's say we get the bounce there. Right, this trend line will obviously be lower. It'll be sitting at like $71,000 at that point. But at that point, right, it's still going to be a key level to flip. So, yeah, my overall anticipation is if that daily money flow can stay in the green, absolutely I am looking for, again, 78 to 81,000. And then, again, we'll identify what's going on up there, right? And unless we see some kind of major bearish confirmations, maybe we go back to retest the trend line, get a little retest, and then finally see that big move up to $86,000 to $90,000. The major target here, right, if you're not interested in like trading, and you know, I would say the main target is sitting up between $86,000 and $90,000. Right? Again, I showed what this was based off of. It's based off the value area low, all the confluent resistance we have up there. And I'll even do this, right, just to clean up the chart so it's not super confusing. And again, I mean, the resistance is at 70. There is resistance at 78 to 81,000, but again, it is very small. The big level is sitting up here. And the visible range volume profile makes that very clear to see. So eventually, you know, probably maybe chop around here. Once we get above that trend line, there's not a lot holding you back from this major area of resistance. These high volume nodes act as magnets for price. When price gets into a low volume gap, it tends to seek out that highest area of volume, the next highest area of volume. In this case, with the money flow coming up, the target would be up here, right? And we also have the horizontal resistances as a major target. And other than that, right, other than that like small amount of resistance at 78 to 81K, there's not a lot there, right? Fast move down, fast move up. Major target, major target. It's the same thing when we look to move through this low volume gap to the downside. What did we target? We very simply targeted the previous value area, which sat down here. What happens? You fly through the gap. We fill the range in full. If we impulse out of this range, well, guess what? The next target is going to be for price to seek out the fair value. Volume profiles, I use the volume profiles to find the fair value, right? You have fair value up here, fair value down here from this previous range. So when I look at this and I say, hey, low volume gap below, this is how we were able to call for this big dump. Lose these lows, money flow is coming out as well, making it a very high probability. Once we break down here, guys, buckle up. It could get very, not exciting, but very scary, very quick. Where are we going to look for price to target? Inside this volume profile. We got the beautiful fill, and in the same way, if we get the impulse out of here, where is price going to seek? Low volume, previous value. Price always seeks out fair value. That's why this is the major target. On top of the key levels, on top of the value area low. It's the same exact thing, just flipped upside down. Let me see something here. That's kind of nice too. All right, that kind of last level that I would like to bounce off of gets really close to that macro value area high. And then, you know, maybe people will start calling for the head and shoulders. Head and shoulders. Pull that measured move real quick. Interesting. Again, I don't trade patterns, but if we did come down there, you know, people would probably start calling for the head and shoulders. And the measured move for that head and shoulders is one of the things that I do use patterns for, is just to get that technical target. Again, not like a major part of my analysis, but you would measure from the neckline to the head, drag it to the breakout, and then that would be your technical target, roughly. It does bring you right into that $86,000 to $90,000, right? So for our pattern traders here, if we did get that overall bigger pullback, could look out for that head and shoulders. If I were to draw this out like super technically and not with like a brush, like an absolute Neanderthal, something like this. And then you would pull from the neckline to the head. There it is. Directly into the weekly MPOC. So we'll see, right? I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe we get the bigger breakout. But if you do get that pullback again, right into the 786. That is the lowest I would like to go. If we get some kind of big pullback, that is the line in the sand for me. Once we lose that, that's where I think we go below 60K. And we also, something I haven't talked about it recently, but something I oftentimes talk about on Bitcoin is it does kind of like to like roar into these big moves, right? Kind of like a swoop, like a big roar, right? Even here, like swoop into a massive move, swoop into a massive move. And this happens a lot, right? It's kind of like rounds up into those monster moves. That could look really nice, just in typical Bitcoin fashion, right? Just kind of bing bong around, give you one last scare, and then you kind of get one of those sweeping big monster moves on Bitcoin. Again, not something I would make a decision off of, but just when I try to look at this price action and how it would look, right? The reason I don't want to go below here is because of that 786. If I'm looking for a higher low and a higher high, it's very simple. Money flow is coming up. I anticipate lackluster pullbacks for higher lows and higher highs. That's on the daily time frame, right? That pullback on a daily for a lackluster pullback, higher low and higher high, this could feel very, very big, right? That would be a 11% dump right now. Now, you don't want to get shaken out, right? You don't want to lose the overall perspective of the uptrend, right? So money flow makes me look for lackluster pullbacks. I know 11% doesn't feel lackluster, but in the context of the daily time frame, it is, right? And it's valid with the 786 for the higher low and the higher high. That's where I like to look for the higher lows and higher highs. And then I just kind of incorporate that other stuff, right? That head and shoulders would look pretty clean, right? Again, not something I would trade, but it would look very clean. And then you start looking at that measured move, bringing you right up to the target that we're already looking at based off volume. It's just all confluent with that same thing. So, it's not guaranteed that you have to get that big move down. But if we did, this is where people start to get scared. Oh my God, I'm bearish on Bitcoin again. And then boom, it just shocks everybody and gets that big move up. So there you go. I prefer my shoulders inverted. Shout out to Always. Hi, Frank from Brazil. Do you use a bull flag on the 4 hour? I am not a pattern trader, right? This does not mean that you cannot trade patterns. I like to be very clear about this. I don't not trade patterns because it's just like doesn't work. It's just through my experience, I had traded patterns in the past. At the end of the day, the chart does not know it's in a pattern, right? So do patterns, will bull flag break out more often than it breaks down? Yes. But I think when people kind of show patterns, I'll look at them, right? I just don't trade them alone. I would never recommend trading anything alone, right? So, you could look at this, right, as some kind of like a bull flag. So is it a bull flag? Does it have a higher probability of breaking up than down? I would say yes, right? That's like definitely a bull flag. Could pull this measured move. Where does that bring you? Super, super interesting target there into your daily MPOC zone, right? So can you see that bull flag play out? Of course. But again, I don't trade patterns. If I were to take a long down here, I would not be longing in the context of a bull flag. I would be longing on the based on the value area, right? So it's almost like the same trade. It's just not the way that I personally go about it. So yeah, I don't trade them, but they are valid. I just wouldn't trade them alone, right? A lot of people will only show the bull flags that play out and not the bull flags that don't play out. So yeah, I would consider that a bull flag. I just don't look at this and be like, it's definitely going to break up. Let's see. How do you know what time frame to use and when to use them as far as patterns? I mean, you could see patterns on any time frame. Again, I just not a pattern trader. And like, there's so much more that moves the market than a pattern. For me personally, right, like I always pull up this example only because this was like, we looked at the pattern. And it's not that I don't pay attention to it, right? Like you just saw me kind of talk about that head and shoulders, and I just say like, hey, that's where most people would look for a head and shoulders. Basically, patterns are a way to describe price action, right? Like oftentimes when you see a bottom form, it might form in a head and shoulders pattern. So it's not that they're not useless. Like here, I'll just kind of there's a bull flag that breaks out. But at the end of the day, right, it's not something that I'm going to look at as gospel, right? Trying to think, where is that bull flag or bull pennant? is a really good example because, again, I don't look at them often, but there was a point where we saw a bull pennant, but I specifically talked about in the premium Discord why I did not expect it to break to the upside, and it had everything to do with liquidity. Again, yeah, you just have to understand. You could trade patterns. You have to understand that the market does not move off of a pattern, right? The market moves based off of buys, sells, liquidity, like things that actually move the market, volume, not a shape on the chart. It can kind of help you describe the price action or kind of identify the price action, right? Like this is a clear bear flag. Is that what I look at to make my decisions? No. Oftentimes when we're in a bear flag, we took the short here at $98,000. It had nothing to do with the bear flag. It just had to do with the volume profile that I was looking at and money flow. So it's just kind of like how you want to view the market, right? If patterns help you make the market easier for you to understand, that's great. Then you should use them as long as you're not trading them alone. I wouldn't even recommend trading volume profiles alone, right? Like down here, we came down to a value area low, right? But does that mean just take along and expect it to break out? No, right? When you have money flow, I incorporate money flow to help me identify where the higher probability breakout's going to happen. In this case, you had money flow on many different time frames, continuing to the downside, indicating the overall macro trend would continue down, which made me very greedy with that short position, and we held it all the way down there. Made tons of money on that short. If you were just trading the volume profile alone, you'd think, oh my God, beautiful bounce at the value area low, long it for a massive move, and you would have gotten cooked, right? So you just always have to incorporate other stuff. So yeah, let's see. SFPs, money flow, key levels, volume profiles, you can't lose. Yeah, I mean, I've tried every strategy, guys. And it's not to say that I think maybe someone could look this up, right? I believe volume profile theory has like one of the highest, is like one of the most highly profitable strategies that you can use statistically. But I've tried breakout trading. That was kind of like my first thing. I was like, why would I not just be a breakout trader? I'll just go long when we're pumping. That makes sense, right? There's like an easy thing that clicks in your brain. We'll push up, I'll get in, and we'll ride the train to the upside. That's logical, right? And then I just wound up being in positions where I would be like, oh my God, we're breaking out. And then I would get stopped out, right? And then I'd be like, oh, my God, we're breaking down. Or we're breaking out again, rather. Oh, my God, we're breaking out. Massive move. Right now, at this point in my career, I had no idea what to target. I was just looking for big moves. Erect, right? I just, now, funny enough, my strategy is almost the opposite. Oh, my God, we're breaking down. Let me take a long. Pay us out, right? Oh, my God, we're breaking down. Let me take a long. So, yeah, I mean, volume profiles, in my opinion, I mean, maybe I'm biased because it's what clicks in my brain. But the other thing is like the logic behind a volume profile is much more valid than like a shape on the chart, right? It's kind of, I was a pattern trader at some point as well. I don't know if I would consider myself a pattern trader at some point, but like I saw, right? Oh my God, all I have to do is look at a chart, identify a pattern, and then I could just make a ton of money, right? I wish trading was that easy, right? Doesn't mean you can't use them to help you. Again, I would just, caution using them alone, right? Volume profiles are based off volume, right? Which is actual price. So when we see price is down here, it's not just, oh my God, we're at the bottom of a, I don't know, like this is a move. Like I'm trying to think about how to compare it to like a pattern. The reason this is valid, right, is because when you form an area of fair value, right? This volume profile, this is fair value. When we get to the highs, they sell it back down. Right? When we go down here, they buy it back up. Buyers and sellers agree that inside this box is fair value. So therefore, when you get to the high of the range, right, or the high of the volume profile, you can look at this as expensive price. Once this price fails to trade above the value area high and you get accepted back in, there's a high probability of a move through the range back down to your cheaper area of value, right? Down to the bottom of the volume profile, this would be considered cheap. Once you get back in, that is a failed auction, right? The market is an auction. And once you get accepted back into the profile, there's a high probability that you will fill it to the top. And now this is actually really good for me to show you guys because we deviate above the high, we get back in, and we don't go back down to the low, right? Well, we actually identified this by using money flow, right? Because again, you don't want to use anything alone. So how did we avoid? I think we actually did take this short here, but we knew that there was going to be a very important take profit here at the point of control. Why is that? Look at your money flow in the green. This indicates, again, the overall trend is going to continue up. So we take a profit here, and then I think we actually took the long at the POC for a new high. So it's not as easy as just waiting till you're above the value area high, shorting. I mean, honestly, I think if you did that, you'd probably have a pretty high hit rate. But there are times where, you know, there's going to be a lower probability of it playing out, and you have to use other things to identify those kind of situations, right? But, you know, volume is price, right? That's why I like volume profiles. It's not just some arbitrary shape on the chart, for example. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to BTC Harpist. On my own, he said, so glad you said that, though, because that's what I was thinking when I started a few months ago. Then I went to trends and flag and patterns, but volume profiles make a lot of sense, and I watch it work with you daily. Yeah, absolutely. And again, it is based off volume, right? Like you could find any volume profile on the chart, and you're just marking off the area of balance, right? Let me find, like, we'll just look at this clean range right here, right? Hey, we have a volume profile here, right? Fair value. Actually, if it starts here, here's your fair value. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll pull it up on current price action, right? Because this is 100% valid. And you can find these on any time frame, right? Here's your volume profile currently, your local volume profile. I'm just marking off the range, essentially. Price comes down to the low, right? And obviously these levels will move as price action develops. I'll just do it from here. You get down to the low, you get your bounce, right? And the first take profit within a volume profile is always the POC, right? So here, right, you don't get the full rotation. You probably wouldn't have gotten stopped out here anyway, unless you were me. But here's your value area low, right? It would be slightly different. You come to the low, you're looking for a long, right? Even if you don't get the confirmation. Sometimes you don't get the confirmation, you just let it ride. And more often than not, the range will break down. But let's say you get down here, you get beautiful confirmation into the value area low, which you actually did. You push into the low. You get lower lows on your price action, higher lows on your momentum waves. Now, money flow is not super confluent with this, right? Because money flow is coming out. But you get your bullish divergence at the value area low. That's a valid place to look for a long position. Once you get back into the range, right, or the value area, the highest probability next target is going to be the POC. Where was the value area high at this point? So you don't even make it to the value area high, but very high probability first take profit, right? So what is this? Is this a losing trade? No, it's actually a winning trade because you get stopped out in profit, or you take TP1, stop loss to break even. Then once you break down and get stopped out, boom, you get stopped out in profit. It's a winning trade. Then you get another rotation to the low. You actually did not get bullish divergences here technically, but overall, you deviate below the low. This is looked at as cheap. You come back into the range. There's another rotation of the POC. You probably would have gotten stopped out again as it was a little bit choppy. You come back out. You get back in. Once you're back in the profile, next target is the POC. And then eventually, you finally get that full rotation. Now you're at the high. Price is now expensive relative to the previous price action. Expensive, cheap, right? It's an auction. I always explain it as think of a product, right? Like a Red Bull. I always do the Red Bull example. If Red Bull typically sells between $1 and $2, right? $1 cheap, $2 expensive, but that's around where it winds up selling, right? But then it goes on sale for 50 cents. You think to yourself, I'll buy a bunch of Red Bull for 50 cents, and then if it typically sells between $1 or $2, I'll sell here at say $1.50 or up here at $2. I just made money, right? It's a failed auction. That's what the market is. The market is an auction, right? So long at the low, you get your first take profit, stopped out in profit, get back into the range, POC, TP1, you get the full take profit here. And you're not always going to be taking a trade, right? You want to see confirmations as well, right? Just like a pattern, it's not as easy as just, longing every time you hit a value area low. You have to understand context, trend, money flow, all this stuff. But at the high, this is expensive. This is where I want to look for shorts. You go down, retest, back into the range. You can't get out. Next stop, POC. Next stop, value area low. Fulfill the range. Then you come down to the range again. You sweep out the lows. You get back in. POC. Value area high. Fulfill. Right? So that's why I always say up here, am I looking for a long up here? No. More often than not, I'm looking for a short. I'm not in a short from here. I'm already holding my short from the SFP from the high. But, for example, when I'm looking at the chart here and I'm in a range like this is where I'm looking for shorts. It's not just instantly short. I'm like, okay, now we're above the value area. Let me see if I have confirmation. If I have confirmation, I'll take the short. If not, I just sit on it and wait for it to break out. Hopefully that makes sense. You can pull it down to like any kind of volume profile, even down here. Right? Why did I take the long here at $66,000? Few different reasons. Number one, we were at the value area low. We had our bullish divergences here with an SFP. That was my entry confirmation. I take the trade. I get back into the range. POC is tapped. Very high probability. The POC is the strongest magnet within the profile. Once you're in that value area low, that POC almost always is that strong magnet that gets tapped, right? You come to the POC, you bing bong around a little bit, and eventually you flip the POC and go to the high for the full fill. Why am I still holding this trade? Well, it has everything to do with money flow. Once we start seeing this money flow cross green, we say, hey, this trend is likely to continue to the upside. And luckily, we decided to hold that trade. Up much more money now. So there you go. A little bit of a freebie. You still have to understand the confirmations. I have to understand the context, all that stuff. But just as like a theory, you're longing at the lows, shorting at the highs. Shorting at the highs, longing at the lows. Shorting at the highs, longing at the lows. Right? So there you go. A lot of people charge for that. Yeah, we'll take a look at Solana. I'll take a look at some of the altcoins for you guys. How many Red Bulls do you drink to hit them 2 to 3 hour streams? Shout out to NWO. I used to drink a lot of Red Bull. I haven't drank Red Bull in a long time. Mrs. Candles got me on these natural energy drinks, but I found out that if I don't stop drinking as much caffeine as I do, I'm going to end up with really high blood pressure. Actually, found that out yesterday. So it's actually really sad. I haven't really drank much of this. I'm trying not to. A little sip here and there. But it does take a lot. I try to keep the energy up on the streams. How do your drawings always come with an arrowhead? I love these questions on like TradingView. Like people see me delete a level by not hitting my keyboard. I'll just like hover over it and it disappears. I love when people ask these questions. But yeah, this is actually really helpful. Just double click on your drawing, click here, and you can make it an arrow or just normal. I have it on arrow. Can you show how to find the market cipher beat indicator? You could just go to the if you want to help support the channel and get a discount. You can just go to the link in the description down below. We have a link there that you can use, and you'll get a discount as well. I love coffee. Me too. I really have to cut down on the caffeine. It's really bad. Oh man, don't ignore your health. Do not ignore your health. You could have coffee, just not 7 cups a day. Yeah, I usually drink like 4 to 5 cups a day. I only drank 1 today. Maybe that's why I don't feel good. It actually just clicked. Shout out to Mr. Chiral, says, hi from Azerbaijan. Yeah, that 67K target, 67K targets are also nicely aligned with the CME gaps we have currently below. Also, I need that for my current short. Otherwise, I am marring with the loss. Hodl. Shout out to Mr. Terrell. Yeah, the 67K zone, it's nice. You have the POC in there. You have your daily MPOCs. You have a daily level in there. The only thing that makes that difficult, just for me, is that I am a very, very avid volume profile trader, right? And I just don't love, as I just mentioned, I like longing the lows and shorting the highs. It's not always that I'm looking for a long at the middle of the range, right? Because if I'm expecting a full fill of this range, it's kind of hard for me to take a confident long there. But of course, if money flow is pointing towards that, there is a rare case where I will look for longs from those levels, which we will be down here. So yeah, you have a lot of confluence down here, to be honest. But I would say it'd be a lot cleaner. It'd be really nice to not have to get in that sticky situation and hold the high. But if not, it is definitely a valid level for sure, especially the CME gaps down there on top of it. Do I use log view? Yes, I use log view. Shout out to Wahoo! Shout out to Lord Bra, said, Frankie, you're the best. In the last 3 years, I learned a lot from you. Yeah, shout out to Lord Bra, baby. That's what we're here for. 64 ounces of water. I'm skipping the 64 ounces. I went straight to whatever this is. Maybe this is 64 ounces. No, this is 128 ounces. And I have to have the time of day on there like a child because I forget to drink water. We got one in today, though. Not going to lie. They scared me yesterday with the high blood pressure thing. Oh, man. Anyway, adrenal gland toast. Yeah. You should see me when I drink no caffeine. Mrs. Candle's like poking me with a stick. She's like, "Are you good?" I'm like, "No." Coffee's an invention to make us work more. Is that like actually a thing? Wouldn't doubt it. Shout out to Lord says, I'm trading for 2 years. I learned almost everything ICT, SMC, blah, blah. But after every day here with you, I trade with market cipher and volume profiles. Now I know actually what I'm doing thanks to mentor Frankie. Shout out to Lord. Let's go, baby. Let's go. And again, I'm not someone who sits up here and says you have to trade my strategies. Again, I didn't invent them, but the strategies that I use. At the end of the day, guys, it really comes down to your risk management. You can trade a pretty low win rate strategy and still be profitable with the right risk management. If you're not getting cooked on the trades that you lose, right? Like when I lose a trade, for example, let's say I make $4,000 on a short play. For example, say I make, let's say I make 4K here, right? And then I'm looking, or let's say 2K here, right? And I'm looking for a full rotation down. Anytime I get stopped out of a position like that, let's say I'm up 2K, right? And then I get stopped out at a loss. The loss on this is not going to be percentage-wise anywhere near where my wins are, right? Like if you lose $200 on your loss and you make $3,000 on your win, right? You could take multiple of these losses in a row. You're going to be wrong trading. Doesn't matter whose strategy you use. Doesn't matter if it's mine, ICT, SMC, whatever it is. There's profitable ICT traders out there, I would think. I don't know about like a lot of the gurus. Maybe they're not. I don't know. But you could be a profitable anything trader at the end of the day. It's really about risk management. I wouldn't just trade based off nothing. But really, when it comes between win rate and strategy, I cannot stress enough how much more important win rate is. I think most people will be shocked, right? Like you can have a 40% win rate and still be profitable. You can have an 80% win rate and still lose money. Right? It's kind of a win rate's almost like a vanity metric. I always talk about the hedge fund. I watched some interview with a hedge fund manager. They had like a 20% win rate. And the interviewer asked them, like, don't you like how do you survive? Like aren't you always panicking that you have a 20% win rate? And he's like, no, why? They just cut their losses so quick that they're either very slight. They might be wrong often, but when they're wrong so small, right? And then when they're right, they're absolute monster runs. So it really does come down to risk management at the end of the day. Darren says, for energy, up your protein, zinc, vitamin C, and vitamin D. Shout out to Darren Does Things. I'm actually writing this down because I really do have to start taking vitamins as well. Let this be a lesson to you guys. When I started this channel, I kind of put my health on the back burner. I'm not going to lie. I'm not proud to say that. And all of a sudden, I started hearing like vitamin deficiencies. Like I go to the doctor, and they're not like, "You're a bull. you're strong as bull." They're just like, "Ah, man, you're starting to get like high blood pressure, and like you look really dehydrated. We couldn't find a vein." And I'm like, "Oh my god, I got to get off the chart and drink some water." Vitamin D, aka go touch grass. I get it, Darren. What do you say? Vitamin D, zinc, vitamin C, and I think that was it. Oh, and glycemate. I don't know what that is. And protein. Luckily, I like steak a lot, so I do get a lot of protein. But anyway, let's continue on here. This is not a health stream, guys. I'm going to take a look at some of the altcoins. We'll keep an eye here on Bitcoin as we kind of continue to bing bong around here. But I'm going to jump into, we'll take a look at Solana because I saw Solana moving a little bit. Solana obviously was lagging a little bit behind, guys, right? Here's your kind of overall range on Solana, right? This is comparable to the overall range on Bitcoin, right? Obviously, Bitcoin has already gotten the move up. Solana, right? Even Ethereum. Where's our range on Ethereum? I'll just pull it here, right? Ethereum already like getting the move through its range. Solana was kind of lagging behind. But as you guys know, if you watch the stream, we were above, again, deviate below the value area low. Cheap price action, right? Cheap down here, right? Once you get back into your fair value, POC is the next likely place for price to go. Now, it's not always a clean. Sometimes it is, right? Sometimes it's right to the POC, lose the POC, go to the low. Sometimes it gets confusing, right? You go to the POC. If you get a rejection at the POC, because this is major resistance, as long as you stay within the value area, the idea is to fill the range in full, right? So you get above the value area low, into the POC, back down, back to the POC, back to the POC, back to the POC, back down. You're still within the profile, back above the POC, back down, but eventually you flip it and you get right up into the value area high. So finally, Solana's starting to catch up here. Market Cipher B looked the same as Ethereum, right? So we kind of not only from the volume profile expected the value area high, but also money flow it was all looked the same. It just looked like the price action was lagging behind. But again, right, high probability, right? As long as we stay above the value area low, and as a last-ditch effort, stay on top of the 786 if we had to. But as long as you stay in that range, right, we're looking for that fill of the range. Bada boom, right? This is how price action moves. So right now, you're at the value area high. Obviously going to be resistance. I can extend this for now. Let's come on down to like the 4-hour. Just clean it up a little bit. And if you're just tuning in for the first time, guys, you've never seen me before, you can check the beginner series out on the YouTube channel. And I have tons of tutorials and videos on how to use this stuff. But we're at the value area high, obviously local resistance, but from a overall perspective here, if we can get out of this volume profile, the next major target is going to be the value area low. Or I'm sorry, not value area low, the bottom of this low volume gap. Just like on Bitcoin, it's the same thing. Here's your gap. Here's your range. Same exact thing. Solana's kind of down here. If we could break out of that profile and approach the low volume gap, break in there, fast move up through the gap again, 86 to 90K, assuming we get above the first level that we have at 78 to 80K. For me, I would say 78 to 80K on Bitcoin is almost like a $103 Solana. We have a daily MPOC there. I'll even pull up the VPVR on Solana as well. See if we have the same gap. There it is, right? And then where's that little peak in volume? Right on that daily MPOC, right? So low volume gap, first high volume node. Low volume gap, first high volume node. So 78 to 81,000 is like $103 Solana. Get above that. Looking to go to the previous value area low, 86K. On Solana, that would be more like $122. Same exact stuff here. Same theory. Same stuff. Right? Bitcoin's obviously a little bit ahead, but same thing that we look at here on Bitcoin, we would look here for on Solana. Well, I haven't learned TA. You got Frankie Candles to look at the charts for you. But there you go. Obviously going to be resistance until, you can hit your head a little bit here. But essentially the goal here is to break out of your value area, hold on top of, $90, and then get your move into your gap. We've already gotten a rejection from the gap, just like on Bitcoin. But this time is different, right? This time is different, guys. Super cycle. But of course, this time we do actually have the money flow trending up, right? If this makes us look for a continuation of the uptrend, right? If you get the breakout, looking for higher lows and higher highs, just like on Bitcoin. Same exact stuff. So there you go. Let's see. Short still printing. Shout out to Zach. Let's get it, baby. Let's get it. Mind the gap. That's right. Stand clear of the closing doors, please. Shout out to Sav, said, you are too bullish, man. I feel it should reject heavy anytime now. Shout out to Sav. I don't identify myself as like super bullish or super bearish, right? Because like, I think when people say you're too bullish, it insinuates that I'm bullish here with no plan B, right? If we reject, right, which is definitely possible, right? And I'm just here bringing the information on the charts. 12-hour bearish divergence. This is a bearish sign. We can 100% reject, right? Now, I don't know what you mean by hard rejection. If you let me know what price, I'll kind of talk about it. But a hard rejection down to $70,000, I would still be interested in the continuation of the trend, assuming money flow still looks good, right? If all our money flow looks like trash, well, I would just change my theory there or change my sentiment. But at the end of the day, if that does happen, to be honest with you, I prefer a dump first. Not from a probability standpoint necessarily, but personally, I would like the dump first because I would like my short. I haven't taken profit on my short yet. I'm actually positive on fees, like $150. But I would like to have my short play out a little bit more first before we end up continuing higher. But again, the lowest I would like to go is down to the macro trend line, right? Again, Fibonacci retracement, confluent MPOCs, all the reasons I just talked about in the beginning of the stream. But at the end of the day, right, if we continue down here and then continue up, my bullish stance would still be, I would still have that bullish stance, right, unless something changes. But if we come down here, high time frame money flow still coming into the green, I would be looking for, I would say there's a chance of that. Anytime I say, you know, I have a bullish bias, that does not mean like most other, like a lot of other people on social media will be like, it's bullish, guys, it's going to go up. It's not going to go down. That is not the case, right? I am, what do they call this? Somebody could probably find this in the chat. This is like it's called like, I don't know. It's some kind of like Pavlov's dog, like something like that. It's like for Freudian slip. It's something like that. It's like the more informed or educated you are on something, like people who don't understand how the market moves are oftentimes just very confident. Oh, we're pumping, we're bullish, guys. It's going to go up. I have been doing this long enough and have been through so many cycles. I've been trading and just doing TA in general for so long that I understand there are zero certainties in the market, right? Zero. Nothing is ever 100%. Doesn't matter if we had every time frame coming into the green. I understand as a trader that does not mean that I just YOLO long my whole portfolio because it's not going to go down. There's 100%, there's a chance that we come down here and go to 60K. But it's all about positioning and understanding what to look for, right? So if we wind up coming down to 60K, I will make a ton of money off that move, right? So I'm not just like all long from right here, right? Obviously, I'm long from down here. But if this doesn't play out, I'm going to make money, right? I'm going to stop out of my long in profit, and my short will then be in profit, right? So it's not about up or down. It's case for up, case for down, probability based off TA, lean that way. And because if all money flow was coming out, right? If all money flow was coming out and it looked like there was going to be a big rejection here, I would not be interested in taking massive longs for higher lows and higher highs. I would be more favorable, or I'd be favoring more bounces, lower highs, and shorting the rest of it down. So it's not really about up or down. You know, I could be even just like really decisively bullish here, and if we come down, I'm still going to make money. But there is no certainty in the chart, right? So anyone out there, right, like maybe people might think this, right? Just because I have a bullish bias that we will continue up does not mean that it is 100% going to go up. It's the higher probability, and that's what I'm betting on, right? And that's how I'm going to treat the pullbacks. But if we get down here and there's no setup to take a long or it doesn't look good, right, I'm going to sit out of that long position, right? I'll probably close my long from the top, and I'll just let my short continue to pay me out. That's how you make money in the market. You don't make money in the market by gambling up or down. Everyone wants to know up or down. Right now I have bullish bias for up. That does not guarantee it will go up. It's how I look at the market. I will make my decisions based off that. But as soon as something changes, right, you want to get on the right side. It's not about being right or wrong, right? Like that is for the birds. I'll let, just whatever. Social media, the typical social media influencers can do that, and then their audience can get mad about that when they're calling for super cycles at the highs, right? People call me too bearish up here, and it's not to say that I'm going to be right about this move, but it's not me like making a bet, right? It's me having a bias and using good risk management as well as good entry triggers to very likely make money. I lose trades, right? I might again, I'll get stopped out and profit on this long if it doesn't play out, so I won't really lose. But again, you want to shift your mindset from a prediction-based mindset to a probability-based mindset. Your probabilities are not always, and a 70% probability is not 100%, right? So you have to expect that to be wrong at some point, right? So anytime I come up here and I have a bias, I am not 100% certain that's the bias. Anyone telling you they have a 100% certainty is wrong, right? They might get right sometimes, and then they'll look like they had 100% certainty, but they're not going to be right 100% of the time. Look at all the people saying super cycle, new all-time highs, the bull market just started up here, right? I have to be the guy up there being like, I don't know, guys, charts are pointing down. You're too bearish, man. You don't understand the fundamentals of Bitcoin. Nuke it, right? But all I'm going to do, right, I'm going to make my, sometimes I'll make a decision here, right? Maybe I take a long here, right? Maybe I add to my long position, or I take a long thinking it's going to continue up and I stop out, right? That's not the end of the world. Not only is it not the end of the world, it will happen, right? It's going to happen. There's no way to avoid that. And if you, I'm not saying you're chasing this, but if you are ever chasing something that's going to give you 100% certainty on the direction of the market, you're chasing something that doesn't exist. You're going to be searching for the rest of your life. So you might as well understand that the market will go against the TA, say 30% of the time or 20% of the time. And then over time, as you bet on that, the probabilities are just going to catch up and keep you profitable, if that makes sense. Yeah, bias indicates you're not following the TA. I mean, my bias is usually based off of the TA, but it's never an emotional bias, right? Like, you guys will never see me say, oh my God, it went down. I don't know how that happened, guys. I just be like, well, I mean, hey, there's a case for the move to the downside. You have to prepare yourself in either case, right? There's a bullish case, a bearish case, and then you can lean in one way or the other. For me, I lean in the way of the TA, but even the TA is going to be wrong sometimes, right? Way less often than it's right? It's going to be right way more than it's wrong. But you never want to have any kind of emotional bias. My emotional bias here is not because I want price to go up because I like when price pumps, right? My bias here is not based off of I want to make money. It is based, I want my spot bag to pump. It is I want, or not even I want, right? It's just that the TA points towards a higher chance of a continuation up, even if we get a big pullback. And again, that line in the sand is around 67, like almost 67, 250, right? Once we lose that, well, guess what? If it looks like trash down here, you're probably going to get the continuation down. And sometimes, right, you could even look at that as, okay, I lost that one trade. If you're looking at it as a swing trade, add it as a loss. As long as you're taking a controlled loss, your next winner will pay it back plus profit. In my case, the way I trade, right, I'll be up massively on shorts here. Shout out to Prash, said, your trade setups in the Discord literally rock always. I am always waiting for them, so I select the best one at the time. Yeah, shout out to Prash. Again, even if you're following, my TA and my setups, guys, I'm wrong sometimes too. Shout out to Prash. I mean, I don't lose. Most of our trade setups play out, but not all of them, right? I get stopped out sometimes. It'd be unrealistic to be right 100% of the time, which is, man, I kind of envy people who have jobs that don't rely on them like being super right or super wrong. It's like, just do the job. Doing the TA is great. Hey, here's the TA, right? But having the trade setups, it's like, I'm going to be wrong sometimes. I have to accept that. And it's, it just kind of stinks. Are any trades active at this point? On what case will you plan to short or long? Shout out to Sav. Yeah, I am holding a long. I'm holding a long and a short. I'm holding my long position down from $66,000, currently up like a little over 10,000. And then I am holding a short position. I'm not logged in. I actually don't have it on my phone either. But that's at like, let me see. That trades at like break even. I'm positive on fees a little. I'm like up $150 on fees. Maybe like $200 on the trade. My short was from the SFP here. So I'll just mark that trade out here so you can see it. Right? So my trade's like, my short position is like this. And then hopefully, I'm not saying I won't take a partial take profit somewhere, maybe at the POC. But my hope here is, if that trade's going to play out, right, I would really look to take a lot of the profits there at the value area low. Yeah, Zach says no bias except for more range. So easy to trade instead of hoping for a breakout every trade. Yeah, that's the other thing too. Like trading is very like I'm like dead inside emotionally, right? Like when I get stopped out of a trade, I just go, okay, loss, right? Small loss. I'll win the next one, or maybe I won't, right? Trading is much more. People get lost in the. A lot of people get lost in like the excitement of the trade. Like, yeah! Like even when I'm up big on a trade, like sometimes you guys will see me get excited on the live stream, but to be quite honest, it's more for like entertainment value, right? It's not when I'm up on a trade, I'm not like, oh my God, yeah! Right? Like I'm pretty emotionless. I'm just like, it's like, all right, I hit the target, I took profit. And that's a good thing, right? You kind of want to be emotionless in the trades. Like trading is a lot more boring than people realize. Do I keep the chart on log? Yeah, it's happening. Yeah, I do keep the chart on log. The only time I'll really change it is like when I look at this trend line, just like recently. Dang it, I deleted it. Give me 1 second here. Right, when I draw this trend line, you have the logarithmic trend line, and then you have the non-log trend line, which will change it, right? So where does this sit? Oh, man, dude, like even the non-log trend line, I am 99% of the time on log. But like if I have something like this, a trend line, or spider lines, which are essentially trend lines, when you put it on not log and non-log, it does change those levels. So when I talk about this trend line that we talked about earlier, it's like, well, here's the logarithmic trend line. And then if you look at the non-log trend line, you're above it, which is interesting because if we do end up getting back down to the bottom of this range, right, it could be a retest of the trend line for like a little bit of a retest. Send it. Just notice that in real time. But yeah, more often than not, 99% of the time I'm on log. Shout out to, I don't know how to say that name, but it says, what leverage size do you use on average? Go check out the only leverage trading tutorial you need to see, I think is the title of it or the thumbnail in the beginner series. I think it's like the first video in the beginner series. Go watch that to understand leverage, because the question is kind of, there's no like, I only use this much leverage. Go watch that video. It'll answer all your questions. Got a bing bong out. Thanks for your time, Frankie. Shout out to Dalton. Have a great night, bro. Have a great night. Critical failures calls critical losses. Shout out to New Earth Guardian. Yeah, the moment you get a bias, it's hard to not be emotionally invested. 100%. I agree with that, New Earth. And again, like when I say you have to remove emotion from trading, really what I mean is you have to control the emotion. I say this to the premium Discord all the time because we talk really a lot about like how to be a good trader, right? Not just from a TA strategy entry perspective, but also just like how you need to be as a person, as a trader, right? And obviously having emotion involved it has no place in your trading, but it's very hard to stop the emotions from happening, right? Like when I'm up a lot on a trade, I don't want to say like I don't have emotion. I just don't get overly emotional about it, right? I kind of control them, right? Like if my trade goes against me and it's tickling my stop loss, right? I can't say that when I look at this, right? Let's say, like in the case of my short, right? Like when it starts like tickling my entry, I can't say that I don't have an emotion there. I just don't react, right? I just don't say like, oh my God, I'm at break even. Like I got to close it, right? It's just like, it's either going to hit my stop loss or it's not. But I would say it's kind of unrealistic to expect to not feel the emotions. Humans are emotional beings. You're going to have them either way. It's learning how to be disciplined on the actions you take based off those emotions or the not making the decisions off the emotions, if that makes sense. How do I get emotionless when trades are in massive profits? I can handle drawdown. Hey, but shout out to Oliver, bro. That's, I think, the harder thing maybe. It's good that you don't get emotional in draw. Actually, it's probably the more common thing. But I mean, that's good. You got half the battle down. As I know, when my stop loss is hit, the trade is invalidated. Holding trades when they break out is way more stressful. I mean, you could just always set, this is why I love volume profiles, right? Like, just practice with yourself. The only reason you're going to say, take a long here. The only reason you take a long here and you don't take profit up here is because of the emotion of greed, right? You just, I want more. Well, if this is the target, why hold it, right? And again, you could have the best scenario where you can just take partial profits and then still keep that open-ended, like, all right, cool, I got a winning trade, guaranteed winner. If it runs, I'm still in, right? So you can kind of, that's why I like taking partial profits, because it like kind of kills that FOMO, because you're just not, you paid yourself, right? So, in the volume profiles, it's just very simple. TP1 at the POC, TP2 at the value area high, at the very least. Maybe if you just want to do a TP1 at the value area high, take the profit, right? If that's the target, preset the target, right? Preset the take profit, right? Don't be the one that has to click the button. Put it on the computer. The computer's not going to have the emotion. It's just going to trigger the order, right? So I would recommend just maybe presetting those take profits. I never preset entries because I'm a reactionary based trader, right? I'll have a setup, a level where I'm looking for a setup. If I don't get the reaction that I like or the entry trigger that I'm looking for, I won't take the trade, right? So I don't set limit orders for entries. But for take profits, right, if you're having trouble, it's very simple. Set those take profits. Walk away from the computer. It's going to hit or it's not. That's kind of the best advice I can give you. There's a leverage trading tutorial for, I forgot who asked for it. I forgot his name. No tickling of entries, Frankie. Pause. Shout out to Tony. Sorry. At the very least, trail your stop. Yeah. And again, I do think it is easier for people. In my opinion, I think greed is more powerful than fear in a weird way, which is crazy because greed, it doesn't hurt you if you, like, for instance, right? Like, I think people are more likely, like you said, to hold a trade and get greedy and then end up losing money when it goes against them, rather than, like, I think it's easier for people to be like, oh, it's going down, let me pull my stop loss down. I'll risk more. I don't care if I lose more. I just want it to go up. It's easier to do that than to just simply take profit when you're in the green, because that greed is a stronger emotion than the fear, in my opinion. Or at least for me personally, when I started trading, even like sometimes now, right? Like, I definitely have less of a fear than I do of, I think the greed emotion hits me harder than the fear. Shout out to Sav, said, any advice? I have made a mistake. I shorted at 73K and I'm still holding it. Very bad decision. What should I do? Okay, so shout out to Sav. Not financial advice. You have to do what you want to do, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a lose-lose for me. Yeah, well, I guess, I don't know. Like, shorted 73. Okay, so I might be wrong about this, but it looks like you shorted here, essentially. I don't know. Maybe you shorted up here, and like you're still holding it in massive drawdown, or maybe you took it here, and you're holding it now up here. Number one, I would say, again, from my perspective, I never short on a move down. I short on the moves up, right? My short here was not as we were dumping. My short was on the push up, right? Again, based off actual entry triggers and key levels. But I am not shorting after the move down, right? I have to be shorting as price is pushing up. The opposite of a breakout trader, right? Maybe breakout trader would take a short here. I started doing that when I started trading. I got cooked every single time, probably in a similar situation as you. Now, if you are in massive drawdown, I would say, right, I don't know your exact trade setup. I would need more information. But you have almost a 4% stop loss if you're above the high. I don't know if you maybe didn't have a stop loss. So number one, right, like if I were to take a short all the way down here, which literally would almost never be the case just because I don't short on moves down. Like, this is always where I'm going to be, at least, if anything, looking for a long. If not, I'm just holding a short, letting it play out from higher. But at the end of the day, if you're in massive drawdown, the easiest thing I can say is ask yourself this question: why am I in massive drawdown? The answer to that question every single time is going to be because you allowed yourself to go into massive drawdown. So the easiest way to fix that is to stop yourself from even being able to go into massive drawdown, which would be to set a stop loss, right? If you don't, or maybe you just have a massive stop loss potentially. I assume you probably just had no stop. So the best thing to do is just take self-accountability. Why am I in massive drawdown? Even if you had a beautiful trade setup, that trade could still go against you, right? So you have to accept that could happen sometimes, and you have to. The only way to stop yourself from going into massive drawdown is to limit your loss. So it sounds like maybe you didn't have a stop loss set. You have to set that stop loss, or don't, right? Just understand you'll be in this situation again. So yeah, I mean that's the best advice I could give you is like just don't. You allowed yourself to get into big drawdown. Don't allow it to happen again. How do you do that? Make sure you have a stop loss set. How do you know where to put your stop loss? It has to be at the invalidation of your trade. Does that make sense? Hopefully it helps you out. I'm sorry to hear you're in massive drawdown. Shout out to Jake from Reddit. Said, Frankie, first year doing taxes. I was under the impression I owed capital gains on all my profits. I'm just learning about P&L. It's very interesting to know. Yeah, shout out to Jake from State Farm. I am the opposite of a tax professional. My tax people probably hate me because like I am not a tax professional. I hate them. They're confusing. They're annoying. They're intricate. They're tedious. I hate them. Not tax advice. I won't even really touch on it because but yeah, if you're learning that from a tax professional, then yes, very interesting. Shout out to Jake. Yeah, you could always, you have losses and wins is what I'll say. Massive support on XRP at $1.30. Let's take a look at XRP real quick. All right, guys. I think this is the last time I'll ever say this is why I have high blood pressure. That was the 9th time I snoozed my alarm because I was going to go live for an hour because I really don't feel good. And here we are, literally at an hour and a half. I've snoozed my alarm 3 times. Just because I don't want to leave. I'm not leaving. Oh my God. Massive support at $1.30. I mean, yeah. My level is sitting here between about $1.20 and $1.12. This is definitely big support. You have this is actually one of the rarest sideways consolidation patterns, right? Indicating massive consolidation for a very long time. Very long time. So you have the double bottom here, and then very commonly you will trend sideways for a very long time. Never mind. It's a joke. But anyway, pause. Yeah, this is massive support. You have your previous value area high. You have a high volume node. We've already tapped that high volume node. This does sit between, guys, stop joking around. This is serious stuff. $1.21 to $1.12. This is not only big support, it's also very important support. If we lose this value area high, in my opinion, what do we have here? Very fast move up. Value area. Once you lose this level and cannot get back above the high, the probability of coming down to the POC is very high. 81 cents. Right? So like this is an extremely key level on XRP. Do not want to lose that. So not only, I guess if you're looking at $1.30, which is kind of the lows that we're holding here, I would say from a macro perspective, this is the really important support. But of course, go ahead. I mean, this is uncanny, guys. This is. I'm sorry, I had to draw it. This is just. It's even hairy. Anyway, yeah, $1.30 is right around your value area low. But I would just look at this as a local range. Very similar to Bitcoin. Honestly, very similar to Solana. Right, like there's that overall macro range. I'll pull it up side by side. Right, just like on Bitcoin. Pull up the VPVR. Just zoom out a bit here. Right, so you still have that kind of massive low volume gap above you, massive low volume gap above you. Bitcoin's above the value area, attempting to approach the gap. XRP is kind of where Solana is, tapping into the value area high. So yeah, this is definitely going to be important support. Once we lose this again, right, pretty, come on, volume. There we go, right? Not a lot of volume underneath this. So once we lose these lows, we come back over to XRP in full here. once we lose these lows, right, like this is really the major support. Probably a fast move down through that low volume. And then if this doesn't hold up, I mean, you could be looking for a much bigger move down on XRP. But when we look at it from a market cipher perspective, money flow is now crossing into the green, which would give me the general bias of higher lows and higher highs, right? Maybe we get, right? Maybe we avoid the long consolidation pattern and we get some kind of head and shoulders, kind of like Bitcoin, right? Well, if Bitcoin gets it. Left, head, right. Roughly with the target of the previous value area low at about $1.83, right? Through that low volume gap, right? Fast move down, could be fast move up. All right, so if we get the breakout, that's what I would expect it to look like. Money flow is on your side with the daily continuing into the green. I would say locally, other than like this being your massive, massive high time frame level down at, ending at about $1.12. Let's pull our fib here. Whoops. From the low to the high. I would say you really do not want to lose this golden pocket 786 between $1.31 and $1.35. Once you lose this, I'm looking to take out this low. And again, there's not a lot of volume underneath you, which could lead to a fast breakdown. Other than that, this will be your major support. Yeah. $1.35 to $1.31. This is kind of like the line in the sand, just like on Bitcoin, right? Where's the line in the sand on Bitcoin? High time frame. In my opinion, we don't really want to lose 67,304. If we see some kind of like setup down here that we could still get a breakout after taking out these lows, we'll look for it. But generally, based off the Fibonacci retracements, you don't want to lose that 786, just like on XRP. You would not want to lose that 786. If I'm looking for money flow coming up, higher lows and higher highs, that is the deepest I want that correction to go. All right, let's see. I like anything with utility. I'm okay with taking a 12x along the way. Shout out to Greg. I love being spicy. Shout out to New Earth Guardian. Hodl and accumulate. Shout out to Alkaline King. I bought XRP at 32 cents. I'm definitely not mad. Shout out to Greg. Nice entry. The longer it ranges, the bigger the buy will be. Yeah, what do they say? The longer the base, the higher in space. To be clear, guys, I am not somebody who's going to be calling for a $100 XRP or a $10,000 XRP. Again, at the end of the day, I am here to make money, right? You got to buy low, you got to sell high, right? If you never sell high, you'll never make money, right? I will never just be waiting for a $10,000 XRP. I think that is, I won't even cover it. I talk about this all the time. I just feel bad. Would I be opposed to, would I be mad if XRP went to 10K? No. But at the end of the day, it's like, feel bad for people. They've been calling for a 10K XRP forever. And it's, again, like just do the market cap math. It's just $10,000 XRP is impossible from what I understand about market cap. They're going to tokenize everything on XRP. I don't know. Maybe something breaks. It goes to 10K again. It's not like I would not be happy if it went to 10K, but I mean, I'll tell you this. If XRP goes on a generational run, I will not be waiting till $10,000 to sell. Right? Like we had some targets here on X. Do I still have these maybe on the chart? Like we will have, right? Like in a bull market, we're going to have those higher targets, right? But like I think these were them, right? Like we didn't even come into like target number 1. We just came to revisit the all-time high. If we wound up getting the big breakout of the all-time high on XRP, the first target was $5. right? The top looked like it was coming in at $5. I would say the top is in, right? Obviously, the tops came in sooner than that on the altcoins as Bitcoin topped out at 126K. But my highest target there was $15, right? If we went to 15, and this was kind of like unlikely in my opinion, right? This is just kind of like, if this thing really goes to space, like maybe $15 to $20, which is very clearly nowhere near $10,000, right? And you can see we got nowhere near that. That's not to say anything about, the performance of XRP, right? I mean, you compare this to something like, I don't know, like Chainlink, right? I don't know. It's kind of hard to argue, right? You could say like XRP technically put in a new all-time high, but you have things like Chainlink and, a lot of these other altcoins didn't even put in all-time highs. But again, XRP broke its all-time high from 2018, right? And I guess 2021 as well. But it obviously was suppressed from the lawsuit and stuff, so it just hadn't performed as well as those other altcoins in the past. But yeah, I mean, again, I am a very technical trader, right? Show me the charts. That's my Did I just freeze? That was a crazy freeze frame. Looked like I was having a stroke. That was insane. But yeah, I have no emotional, and honestly, guys, I recommend that you don't have an emotional attachment to coins either, right? To me, it's an asset, a financial instrument, if you want to call crypto a financial instrument, that moves up and down. If you can capitalize on those moves, make your money, right? You'll never catch me like outside of like a joking or like lighthearted manner, be like, guys, we're all going to make it. XRP army. If I saw for some reason this thing was going to go to zero, I would say it, right? Or, A to gang forever, right? No, I'm going to buy that thing low. I'm going to sell that thing high. I'm going to make money. I think a lot of people get caught in the trap of the tribalism of crypto. Very dangerous mindset to have when you are trading a financial market. Very dangerous. Can we take a look at hype? Yeah, I can take a look at hype. Let's see here. All right, so we have looked at hype. I mean, key levels do be slapping, guys. The key levels do be slapping. I'll do like a 10-second overview of what we see here, or what we saw here. We came down to the value area low. Previous value area was here. Current value area was here. Once we impulse out of there, very likely you go down to seek out the previous area fair value. It's auction market theory. Fair value, fair value. Impulse out of here, get imbalance, price will seek out fair value. We filled the range in full with, I think it was like 2 and 3 day bull divs into the low. Impulse out. When you impulse out of this range, where is price going to gravitate to? It's going to gravitate towards the previous value. You even see it here on the wick, right? Massive wick, boop, right back. Right to fill the gap, fill the value in full. But you impulse here, where's price going to go? It's going to seek out fair value. You get the resistance. You flip the previous high into support, continue up. From the low to the high, where's the place to look for a bounce? Golden pocket retracement in confluence at the value area high. Man, I wish we looked at this before it happened. I mean, we looked at it before it happened, but I wish we checked on this before it happened. Because it literally comes up at this point, right? I just know this is where we pulled the fib because that's where it's pulled from. Pulled from the low to the high. Golden pocket 786 retracement. Blue zones for me are areas where I look for longs. Golden pocket, value area low. If you're going to continue, a higher low and a higher high based on money flow continuing into the green, that's where you would look for it. Hold the low, back into the POC, flip the POC. Now we're pushing into the major resistance level, which is the value area high zone between $44 and $47, $47.35. So we could still potentially look for this to fill the actual range in full. We are at resistance on the golden pocket. That's your first start of the zone. But technically, the value area high does still sit up here at about $47.30. So maybe you get a little turbulence at the golden pocket. As long as you can hold on top of the POC, head up to that value area high would be the next major target. And then once we break above that, 786, I mean, this is the line in the sand for a new all-time high. Now, you do have to be careful around the golden pocket, right? Because if you are going to, if this thing's going to wind up breaking down, this golden pocket 786 zone is going to be the place to look for it. But in the case of breaking out of this value area high, 786 will be next at, call it $51. If you get above and hold this, right, there's your invalidation for a lower low. And again, I mean, looking at your money flow here, money flow looking good, right? Money flow continuing into the green here, or looking to continue and cross over into the green. So you could still have a bias for a continuation of the uptrend. And then once you get above that 786, I'd be looking to take out the high at 59.36. I mean, dang, weird scenario to be pulling extension targets to the upside, but I really, just based off the chart here, have no other choice. Actually, let me... So if you take out the high, I mean, I'll just put this out. I don't know if you're going to hit this, but if you flip that 786, the next technical target I would have to look at is between $68 and $75. Again, this is a major zone of resistance between the golden pocket 786 value area high. But if and when you can get above that, that'd be your next target. So there you go. Hype just kind of following along with what you would want to see here within the profile. Good stream, bro. Shout out to New Earth Guardian. I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you. New Earth Guardian's always in here. No, but I'm married to XLM. I'm going to be honest. All my money's in it. I know. Well, here's the thing. Like, once your money's in it, it's hard not to get married to something, right? But you just really have to try your best, right? Like, put it for me, right? Because, like, I'm not special. I'm just like you guys, right? Like, I'm just a human. I am a crypto guy, right? And I would say, like, a lot of, like, personal people probably think, like, oh, that guy's a crazy crypto guy. He just believes in Bitcoin. He's a lunatic. But at the end of the day, that's not really the case, right? And maybe it is. But when it comes to my financial decisions, I believe in Bitcoin. I believe in the next 5 to 10 years, Bitcoin is going to be much higher than it is right now. I believe Bitcoin's going up and to the right. That does not mean that I am never going to sell my Bitcoin. Right now, I do think on Bitcoin it's a little bit different because you do have a little bit more proven longevity and, hard money argument. But when I ride my Bitcoin from here to here, I am not just going to, at the end of the day, I wouldn't say, like, if someone's holding from, if someone bought Bitcoin back here, right, and they're just holding it forever, I wouldn't blame them. But, like, for me, I believe in Bitcoin more than anything, right? When I go from here to here, I'm still going to sell my Bitcoin. This does not mean that I don't believe in Bitcoin or I'm against crypto or I kick him out of the crypto club. He sold his Bitcoin. No, right? I'm buying it back. So, and why do I do that, right? Because I'm here to make money and improve my financial life as well. So, like, I don't have an emotional attachment to any kind of altcoin. I'm not like, again, I don't subscribe to WAGME, right? This is like one of the most dangerous mindsets you could possibly have, especially in the altcoin sector. In my opinion, at some point, most altcoins are going to go to zero. I'm sorry, right? You're always going to be able to play the altcoin game, but I compare it to the dot-com bubble, right? At some point, you could even say as of right now, the altcoin game was much easier in 2016, 2017 than it was in 2021. Right? Or I would say it's easier in 2017 and 2021 than it is now, right? Because we're in a different market. The market has matured. Crypto overall has matured. This is annoying me. But just because I sell my Bitcoin does not mean that, like, I'm not saying WAGME, right? But when you are in the financial markets, guys, it is a PvP game. We're all going to make it. It's more like the people who are going to sell are going to make it. And when it comes to the altcoin game, most altcoins don't revisit their all-time highs. I think it's like 80% of altcoins don't revisit their all-time highs, right? So in the altcoin game, it's even more important. But I think, like, in the altcoin game, the tribalism of the altcoins are just so much more intense. So I'm not here to say XRP is going to zero, Link's going to zero, anything like that. But we're all going to make it is what people who are selling say. We're all going to make it, guys. Don't sell. Keep buying it. The people who are going to make it in altcoins are the people who are actually taking profits. The people who are actually paying themselves. It's a PvP game. And, you might have a large group of people who actually do believe in that. And this is why I feel bad, right? Because you have a lot of people that might be in that kind of WAGME group that really do believe that, right? But the people at the top are not playing like that. They don't play like that. It's not like... this stuff ain't friendly, right? In a really weird way, which I kind of hate to say, but it is the fact of the financial market, right? Like if you don't pay, you're not going to make. If you don't pay yourself, you're not going to make money. WAGME is like, I will never subscribe to that. We're all going to make it. Listen, I hope you all make it. Like anyone who does that, right? Like I hope you make it. I pray that you do make it, genuinely. But like I'm not playing that game. I'm gonna sell my bag. I'm gonna make my money. I think it's really important because I think a lot of people, especially in crypto, it's almost like a religion, man. It's really crazy. Like people get like brainwashed by these communities, and then like they're just stuck holding their bags. It's very. I hate it. I really do hate that it works like that. I'm just glad that Frankie kept the stream short tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna hop off, guys. I just got another snooze here on my alarm. I literally just snoozed it 2 seconds ago. I don't know if you guys can hear it. That was my third bull run in every bear market. Everyone does the crabs in a bucket arguing with each other. Yeah, shout out to Bullish on Parade. Yeah, man. It definitely, I will say this. It definitely feels a lot more, right? As you guys know, I'm in the camp. Not in the camp, right? This is just fact of the matter. Bear market started here. Bear market is not starting here, right? But we have been in a bear market. But I will say this. It is finally starting to feel a little bit like a bear market, a little more like a bear market than it did here, right? There was still a lot of hope here. High or low, all-time high, super cycle, right? We get the super cycle people here. Now it's really starting to feel like a bear market, right? Like you go on social media, like everyone's bickering with each other. You know, you get people in chat bickering with each other. It is starting to feel a little bit more like a bear market, which kind of makes me feel a little happier, right? Because at least it's like, it's got to happen at some point. I was kind of hoping it was going to happen here, but it didn't really feel like that, right? Like sentiment was bad here. But I do think there was just a lot of hope here, which is why I felt like I was on an island talking about this breakdown, let alone this breakdown, right? Obviously, once we got this retracement with money flow coming out, we call 100 for 126K very likely being the top, right? Ready to go into a capitulation. And then here it was like, I was expecting it to be a lot scarier here for a lot of people. But I think that higher low really got a lot of people. It was literally 2021 all over again. I remember, like, from an emotional, psychological standpoint, this bear market has been very, very similar to the previous one. Super cycle, people. 30K is the bottom. Higher low. Check one, check two. Despair. People hate crypto. It's going to zero. God forbid you talk about a move to the upside here, they come after you, right? And then here it was just like absolute death, 5K incoming, crypto's dead, regulation, there's no bull market, no bull market's ever going to happen again. And then, of course, we go into a bull market. Super cycle, higher low, new all-time highs, check it off. And now we start to see finally like the sentiment is really starting to, you could tell people are starting to be, people are getting sick of this. Now all we need is if we could get, I would prefer this, if we can get one more, whether we come up first or not, if we can get one more dump, crazy dump, and then we just need those people to start calling for super low prices and then get bullish confirmation on the chart, and I think we can get out of there. So we'll see. I'm starting to like log these psychological observations that I make in these markets because now I've been through enough to kind of feel it. I to be honest, in my first cycle, I wasn't as attentive, right? But like through this cycle and through obviously this cycle, I have my YouTube channel here, so I get kind of like extra insight into kind of sentiment, just through like things like analytics and stuff. I was very obviously attentive through all of this, and here it was just kind of more like. I got into crypto in like very late 2016. So here was just kind of more like, oh, interesting, like this internet magic internet money. And my big thing here was the market doesn't close. I don't have to be there during normal market hours to trade it. So this was just more of like experimental for me, but really opened my eyes up to crypto. And then, really just after going through like this bear market, I'm really starting to like log what the psychological observations are. And they're just like, really what I learned, guys, it's like, it's all the same. It's like, it's literally the same every single time. The super cycle people come every single time. We talked about that this cycle, this in 2021, guys. The super cycle people here every year. Sure enough, super cycle. Nope. Guys, the super cycle people are here every year. Super cycle, wee to the downside. It really is. It's fascinating. It really is fascinating. I guess you could argue a chart is basically just plotting human emotion anyway. But now all call for 30K. I know, right? Now everyone's calling for 30K. I mean, who knows? Maybe, right? Not that I'm saying that this is going to happen, but maybe that's what we need. People calling for 30K. Maybe we just don't get the move and it just continues up. We'll have to see. Frankie, your blinds. I know they're brutal. I got to fix them. I'll fix them before because daylight savings. The sun comes in differently now. So in the winter, I moved them so it didn't do that. And now I guess the sun's at a different point when I stream. So now we have them. Yeah, people calling super cycle at the top is the indicator. Yeah. And we talked about it. I'll never forget it. It was on, I think, this pop to the upside. We had 2 people in the chat saying specifically. Usually I'm just talking about general social media sentiment because I think I would say about 80 to 90% of the mafia knows what's going on, right? But you're always going to have like random people that come in. People have less experience or whatever. There were a couple of people in the chat saying, because we were talking about looking for a top, right? Or maybe it was on this one. I don't remember exactly. But they were saying like, this guy's crazy. The bull run just started. And in which case, we can go back to those live streams. I literally zoom out and go, the bull market started here, not here. I don't know how you could come up with that argument that the bull market is starting here. This is objectively a bull market. It's not my opinion, right? And where's it happen? Right at the top. Right at the top. Like clockwork. I'm going to start buying 38,500. If we hit 38,500, I will be a buyer down there as well, bullish on parade. I used to follow multiple YouTubers before you, everyone at 69K and 126K peaks, screaming super cycle. Shout out to V-Troll. Yeah, I don't make it up. I wish I was. Yeah. Let's see the money flow. Shout out to Prash. I assume you're probably talking about the lower time frames. Yeah, you get the 1 hour money flow trying to come out. 45-minute money flow. Chopping around. Red dot looking to come in here. Is that 12-hour red dot still there? We got about an hour, 2 hours for that 12-hour red dot. So, yeah, I would say the one thing here, guys, pointing towards the potential pullback would be the 12-hour bearish divergence. If we get the pullback, biggest levels to look at, again, 64K. I gave the local levels earlier in the stream. You could scrub back to find those, but essentially, where are we at here? Let me got to be careful with that 12-hour bearish divergence. I'm already in the short. Happy to get stopped out of it if we just get the crazy breakout out of nowhere. But you got the 12-hour bear div. If this ends up giving us some kind of pullback, biggest levels to watch, very simple. I'll pull it up in this perspective. $74,000. Once we get accepted below 74K, I will be looking for the bigger breakdown. POC sits at 72,161. Lose the POC. My biggest, I would really hope that we can get down here. This is where I'm most interested. 74K, $71,000 to $70,000, same as yesterday. And then if we get the bigger breakdown, we'll cover those lower levels, right? Just watch that kind of major higher time frame trend line. Right on the golden pocket, 786. Last line of defense, in my opinion. There's the alarm for the 7th time. Shut up! Between 69,176 and 67,270. I don't want to confuse everybody, right? I doubt we're going to dump down here overnight if we get the pullback. But if the 12-hour bear div gives us the push 74K is first. Once we lose that, I'll look for the bigger push towards 75,000 or 70,500, 71 to $70,000. Honorable mention, you got the POC here. Just mark off this range. Understand the low is my biggest area of interest and the high. Hopefully we can hold this. If not, I'll be looking for this eventually. Value area high sits at 73,881. POC sits at 72,164. Value area low 70 to 71,000. So we'll see what happens. We'll watch that 12-hour bear div. If it invalidates, I'll just be looking for trades within the local range. And then, of course, if we could break above that trend line and not just get a fake out, flip this to support, get the bigger push up towards $78,000 to $80,000. But I got to get out of here, guys. There's the 2-hour stream. I'll probably regret this later tonight. But thank you guys for being here. Shout out to Zach. Thank you for the super chat, brother. I appreciate you so much. He says, 44K bottom. If I guess it right, I want a signed hat from the GOAT. Shout out to Zach. Tony. Mike's broken here. No, it's just loose. But yeah, shout out to Zach. We'll send you a signed hat. And you're doing really good trading. We'll send you a signed hat from me. If we hit a 44K bottom. We'll see. Only time will tell. But thank you for the super chat. And thank you guys for being here. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you appreciate this free education and daily TA and key levels. I love each and every single one of you. Shout out to Michael. Shout out to Andy. Shout out to Darren. Spaghetti Regretti. Frankie, can you post an updated chart in the group, please? Shout out. I think you guys do have the updated chart in the Discord, or my shared chart should be all updated. Maybe I can try to update it with the local range. Never ask Frankie to be on time. Is that a lesson from this stream? Yeah, shout out to Vitro. Anyone who knows me in my real life. It's not a disrespect thing. I don't know. I just run on ADD time or something. I don't know. I am late. I will be late to my own wedding, my own funeral. I'm late to everything. That's one thing I hate about myself because it feels really disrespectful to me. But I'm late for myself too. I wanted to get out of here on time for myself, and here I am just continuing to yap. But anyway, that's all the time I got for today, guys. If you want to check out any of the exchanges or indicators that I use in this live stream, check the links in the description down below and support the channel. That's all I got. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Asta pasta. Frankie Candles out. I'm going to go take some vitamins. Bing bong!
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on a roll, here we go, yeah we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on a roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On a roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor,